Early one morning at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, a traveler heading through Terminal D thought they were running perfectly on schedule. It was just after the morning rush, around 7:30 a.m., when their carry-on bag rolled into the TSA scanner. Nothing unusual inside, just a few clothes, a charger, a snack, and a small souvenir from the trip they were finishing. But the conveyor belt suddenly stopped. A TSA officer pulled the bag aside, opened it, and removed something the traveler had packed without thinking. Within seconds, it was dropped into a confiscation bin, and the passenger walked away without it. Situations like that happen constantly across U.S. airports. Many travelers assume TSA only confiscates weapons, but the reality is very different. After researching TSA guidance, reviewing recent airport reports, and even speaking with officers about the most common mistakes they see at checkpoints, one pattern kept coming up again and again: everyday items people never expect to cause problems. So I put together a list of 15 normal things TSA may remove from your bag in 2026, some surprising, some frustrating, and a few that have even triggered serious airport security responses. Stay with me, because later in the list, you'll see the common snack TSA treats like a liquid, the travel gadget airlines suddenly started rejecting, and one innocent-looking souvenir that can turn a routine bag check into something much bigger. Point 15. Replica grenade souvenirs. Some airport security incidents start with something that was supposed to be funny. Tourist shops all over the world sell novelty souvenirs shaped like military gear: grenade bottle openers, fake artillery shells, decorative explosives made for display. To a traveler, they're harmless. But inside an airport X-ray scanner, the joke disappears. Security officers cannot assume an object shaped like a grenade is fake. On a scanner, it may appear almost identical to a real explosive device. That means the bag must be stopped, opened, and inspected immediately. In some cases, airports have even called bomb squads to evaluate suspicious objects found during screening. Even when the item turns out to be completely harmless, TSA usually removes it from carry-on luggage. The traveler loses the souvenir, and the checkpoint line slows down while security confirms the item is safe. What started as a funny travel gift suddenly becomes a serious security situation. Now, the next item causes problems for a completely different reason. It's not about weapons. It's about liquid hidden inside something that doesn't look like liquid at all. Point 14. Snow globes. Snow globes look like the most innocent souvenir imaginable. Families buy them for children, collectors keep them as vacation memories, and gift shops sell thousands of them every year. But airport security doesn't see a decoration. It sees a sealed container filled with liquid, and that triggers the TSA liquids rule. Carry-on liquids must be 3.4 ounces or 100 milliliters or less per container. Most snow globes contain far more than that amount. Because the globe is sealed, travelers cannot pour the liquid into a smaller container. Once the scanner detects liquid inside the globe, it automatically violates the carry-on rule. That's why during busy travel seasons, airports collect huge numbers of confiscated snow globes from travelers who assumed souvenirs would pass security without restrictions. For many people, the moment they learn this rule is when the officer is already dropping the globe into a confiscation bin. Point 13. Gel heating pads. Long flights can be uncomfortable, especially for travelers dealing with back pain or stiff muscles. That's why many people pack reusable heating pads inside their carry-on bags. Some of these pads contain gel packs that warm up after being activated. They seem harmless, but airport scanners don't just see a medical comfort item. They see a dense gel substance. And gels fall under the same category as liquids during airport screening. Large gel packs sometimes trigger inspections because officers must confirm what material is inside. Smaller therapeutic packs may pass through without issue, but larger versions often create confusion during screening. Travelers usually pack them without thinking because they bought them at a pharmacy or grocery store. But the scanner doesn't care where the item came from. It only cares what the internal material looks like on X-ray. The next item isn't a souvenir, gadget, or medical item. It's something millions of travelers bring to the airport as a simple snack. Point 12. Peanut butter and spreadable foods. Airport snack mistakes happen constantly. Someone throws a jar of peanut butter, hummus, yogurt, or a creamy dip into their carry-on, thinking it's just food. But TSA classifies these foods differently. Spreadable foods are considered gels, which means they must follow the same liquid limits as shampoo or lotion. Large containers of peanut butter regularly get removed at checkpoints because they exceed the liquid allowance. From a traveler's perspective, it feels strange. You can bring a sandwich, but you may lose the jar of peanut butter meant to make that sandwich. The reason is simple. Once the item becomes spreadable, the scanner treats it like a gel. That's why this rule catches casual travelers off guard every single day. Now, the next item feels completely normal in the United States, which is exactly why people forget they're carrying it. Point 11. Pepper spray. Pepper spray is extremely common in the United States. Small canisters hang from keychains, sit inside purses, or clip onto backpacks as simple personal safety tools. Many travelers carry one every day without even noticing it anymore. Then they reach airport security, and suddenly it becomes a problem. Inside a confined airplane cabin, a chemical spray could affect dozens of passengers instantly if discharged accidentally. Because of that risk, pepper spray is generally prohibited in carry-on luggage. Travelers often discover the rule only when the scanner shows the small aerosol canister inside their bag. At that point, the item usually goes straight into a surrender bin. The passenger continues their trip, but the spray stays behind. But the next item proves airport rules aren't just about liquids or chemicals. Sometimes the issue is simple physics. Point 10. Cast iron cookware. Kitchen cookware might sound like an odd thing to bring onto a plane, but it happens more often than people think. Travelers visiting family sometimes bring specialty cookware as gifts, especially cast iron skillets that are popular in American kitchens. These pans are durable and can last for decades. But at airport security, the problem isn't the pan itself, it's the weight. Cast iron is extremely dense and heavy. In a confined aircraft cabin, an object like that could potentially cause serious injury if used improperly. Because of that, heavy cookware sometimes cannot travel in carry-on luggage and must go into checked bags instead. Many travelers only learn this rule when their bag reaches the scanner and security asks them to repack it. Now, the next item might already be inside your bag right now, because millions of travelers carry it every day. Point 9. Power banks. Portable chargers have become one of the most common travel accessories. People bring them to recharge phones during long flights, layovers, and airport delays. But power banks contain lithium batteries, and aviation authorities monitor those very closely because of fire risks. Large battery packs designed for laptops or heavy electronics can exceed airline safety limits. In some cases, security officers inspect the battery label to verify its capacity. The problem isn't the charger itself, it's the energy stored inside it. That's why some oversized power banks get removed or restricted during screening. Travelers assume all portable chargers are the same, but in aviation, battery size matters a lot more than people expect. The next item caused so many problems that airlines actually changed their rules. Point 8. Smart luggage batteries. A few years ago, smart luggage looked like the future of travel. Suitcases with built-in phone chargers, GPS tracking, and digital locks became extremely popular. But those features rely on lithium batteries hidden inside the suitcase. Aviation safety agencies require those batteries to be removable. If the battery cannot be detached, airlines may refuse the suitcase entirely. Some travelers discover this rule only after arriving at the airport with an expensive new bag. At that point, the airline may require the battery to be removed or the bag to be repacked before it can fly. What looked like a smart upgrade suddenly becomes a travel headache. But the next item proves even children's toys can create problems at airport security. Point 7. Magic 8 balls. The Magic 8 ball has been around for decades. Shake it, flip it over, and a floating answer appears through a small window. It seems like the most harmless toy imaginable. But inside the plastic shell is a chamber filled with liquid that allows the floating die to move. Because the toy is sealed, security officers cannot easily determine the amount of liquid inside it during screening. That means larger versions may violate the carry-on liquid limit. Travelers are often surprised when a novelty toy triggers a bag inspection, but from the scanner's perspective, the toy contains a sealed liquid chamber, and that's enough to raise questions during airport screening. Now, the next item isn't about liquid or batteries. It's about impact. Point 6. Bowling balls. Bowling balls are another example of how airport security thinks differently than travelers. To most people, a bowling ball is just sports equipment. But in an aircraft cabin, it's also a heavy, solid object that could cause serious injury if used improperly. Because of that risk, bowling balls typically cannot travel in carry-on luggage. Travelers heading to tournaments or family events sometimes forget to check this rule before arriving at the airport. Then the scanner reveals the dense, spherical object inside the bag, and security quickly asks the passenger to move it to checked luggage instead. And the final item on this list proves something important. At airport security, appearance matters more than intention. Point 5. Butane curling irons. Hair tools feel like easy travel items, which is exactly why this one surprises people. If it's a grooming product, people assume it belongs with toiletries and other routine personal items. That assumption works for many electric tools. But butane changes the story. TSA says cordless curling irons containing a gas cartridge or butane fuel are allowed in carry-on bags only, with restrictions including a required safety cover. That means the issue isn't the curling iron itself, it's the fuel source inside it. This catches travelers who pack fast and sort by category instead of risk. They think beauty item, while security thinks flammable gas. And that difference matters at the checkpoint. Because once an item crosses over from normal personal care into fueled device territory, the rules get stricter very quickly. It's one of the best examples in this whole list of how the same object can feel ordinary at home and highly regulated in aviation. Now the next one is everywhere, and the more common it becomes, the more often travelers forget the rule. Point 4. Vapes and e-cigarettes in checked bags. A lot of passengers still pack vaping devices like they're any other electronic accessory. That's the problem. In aviation, they're treated much more seriously because they combine batteries, heating elements, and the potential for accidental activation. FAA guidance says electronic cigarettes and vaping devices are prohibited in checked baggage and must be kept with the passenger in the cabin. TSA guidance aligns with that carry-on only rule. This is where many casual travelers slip up. They don't think they're bringing something forbidden, they just toss the device into a checked bag with chargers, cables, and toiletries because that feels tidy and convenient. But tidy and compliant are not the same thing. And because so many people now treat these devices as everyday carry items, this has become one of those mistakes that feels minor to the traveler, but very clear-cut to aviation safety rules. The more normal the item feels, the easier it is to pack it wrong. The next one is almost embarrassingly normal. It's the kind of thing people pack on autopilot. Point 3. Oversized aerosol toiletries. This is the checkpoint mistake built on one tiny phrase. I'll just bring the one from home. That's how travelers end up losing full-size deodorant sprays, hairsprays, shaving foams, and other aerosol toiletries. The product feels ordinary. It came from a bathroom shelf. It's obviously meant for personal use. But airport screening doesn't care that it's deodorant. It cares about size and category. TSA's liquids, aerosols, and gels rule still applies to carry-on bags, which means containers have to be travel size, 3.4 ounces or less. That's why this mistake keeps happening. The traveler didn't pack something weird or suspicious. They packed the normal home-size version of a totally normal product. And sometimes that's all it takes for an item to end up in the bin. The most common checkpoint losses are often not dramatic. They're routine things packed one size too large. Now the next one feels unfair when it happens, because the traveler usually did freeze it, just not long enough. Point 2. Slushy gel ice packs. This point catches people who are trying to do the right thing. They're bringing medicine, cold food, or a cooler pack for a long day of travel. They know the pack started frozen. They left home believing they had followed the rule. Then they reach the checkpoint and the item is no longer solid. That detail matters a lot. TSA's guidance says gel ice packs are allowed through the checkpoint only when frozen solid. If they are partially melted, slushy, or have liquid at the bottom, they can be treated like a liquid or gel and may not be allowed. And that's what makes this mistake so frustrating. The traveler's intention was compliant. The item's condition at screening was not. This is one of the clearest examples in the whole script of how airport rules are based on what the item is at the checkpoint, not what it was an hour earlier in your freezer. And that difference can cost people an item they thought they packed correctly. Point 1. Toy guns. Toy guns, cap guns, and realistic replica weapons might look harmless in person, but on an airport X-ray scanner, they can resemble real firearms. Because security officers cannot assume a weapon is fake during screening, these items create immediate concern. TSA generally requires toy guns and replica weapons to be packed in checked luggage instead of carry-on bags. Many travelers pack them as gifts for children or souvenirs from theme parks. Then the scanner sees the shape of a firearm, and suddenly the bag is being opened for inspection. It's a perfect example of how an innocent item can look very different once it passes through airport security equipment. Before your next trip, take a minute to check the latest TSA guidelines and look through your bag carefully. That one extra check at home could save you time, stress, and a confiscated item at the airport. Click any of these videos and I'll see you in a moment.